death. It is the final, undisputed failure of life. But what if the end was just a temporary setback? What if you could pay for a ticket to the future, escaping the inevitable decay of your body and mind? This is the promise of cryonics. It is not science fiction. It is a multi-million-dollar industry built entirely on a single, colossal if. If future technology can one day wake you up. For hundreds of people around the world, this frozen dream is their last hope. They have paid vast fortunes to be stored in liquid nitrogen, waiting for a tomorrow that can cure the incurable. But tonight, we are going to expose the other side of this grand experiment. We are going to ask, is cryonics the greatest scientific gamble in history, or is it simply the most expensive coffin ever invented? Is it a ticket to eternal life, or just a very, very deep sleep? The dream began not in a lab, but in a book. In the early 1960s, physicist Robert Edgar published The Prospect of Immortality, arguing that if we could preserve the dead, future medicine must be able to revive and cure them. It was a philosophy that quickly found its first customer. On January 12, 1967, Dr. James Bedford, a psychology professor dying of kidney cancer, became the first man to be officially cryopreserved. The procedure itself was primitive, even chaotic. The cryonics community was essentially a small, eccentric club. They used rudimentary freezers, struggling to keep the patient cold. For decades, Bedford's preservation was a triumph of hope over technology. But the history of the frozen age is littered with failures. Early patients were destroyed by poor technique, thawed due to power failures, or lost to financial collapse. This pioneering era established the industry's first, most terrifying rule. Cryonics is guaranteed to go wrong unless you have unlimited money to prevent it. Today, the industry looks sleek, professional, and secure. Facilities like Alcor in the U.S. and CryoRus in Russia promise state-of-the-art vitrification, a process that uses chemical cocktails to turn the body into glass, theoretically avoiding ice damage. The cost? It can run up to $280,000 for a full body preservation. But beneath the gleaming metal tanks lies a history of staggering mismanagement and shocking betrayal. Take the infamous case of Dora Kent in the 1990s. At the leading American facility, her head, preserved separately under a neuro contract, was allegedly lost, misplaced, or even illegally thawed during a chaotic period. This scandal exposed a terrifying lack of accountability at the very top of the industry. More recently, the Russian company CryoRus faced a brutal corporate war, leading to a legal battle over the very bodies of the patients. One partner was accused of trying to seize the patients and transfer them, placing the lives of dozens of frozen individuals in jeopardy, simply due to a business dispute. These incidents reveal a harrowing truth. When you buy cryonics, you're not buying life. You're buying a long-term storage contract from a private company operating largely outside of medical regulation. If the company fails, your eternal life plan ends in a disastrous thaw. The most crucial battle in cryonics is fought in the minutes before the freezing even begins. The cryonics dream assumes that the patient dies, then is quickly preserved. But the science tells a different story. When a heart stops, the brain begins to suffer irreversible damage within minutes from lack of oxygen, a process called ischemia. By the time the cryo team arrives and begins pumping the patient full of vitrification chemicals, the patient's brain is already fundamentally damaged. Scientists openly challenge the core belief. They point out that current technology cannot reanimate a single human cell after vitrification, let alone an entire brain with all its complex memories intact. The cryonicists' counter-argument is the nanorobot theory. The future will bring tiny machines capable of repairing every single microscopic injury, from ischemia damage to molecular cracking. This is where cryonics leaves science entirely and enters the realm of faith. It's an article of belief. You are paying not for preservation, but for the hope of a miracle cure that must happen generations from now. Cryonics is, at its heart, the ultimate expression of human audacity, our refusal to accept the finality of death. It is fueled by millions of dollars, desperate hope, and the assumption that the future will solve all of our problems. But the evidence suggests a darker reality. The project of eternal life has become a catalog of failed storage, corporate scandal, and scientific conjecture. The patients are not sleeping pioneers. They are locked in a permanent state of expensive limbo. The only people guaranteed to be resurrected are the companies who collect the annual fees. We thought we were buying a ticket to the future. Perhaps we simply purchased a one-way trip to a very cold, very lonely past. And the ultimate failure of cryonics may not be a scientific one, but an ethical one, selling desperate people the most beautiful lie in human history. Thank you for exploring this dark chapter of innovation with the failed futures. If you are interested in the hidden costs of progress, the forgotten experiments, and the grim side of popular science, subscribe now. We uncover the truth in the chapters of history where official records prefer silence. We'll see you